Every once in a while, I have a bad day, but I've been told we have a choice of whether or not it's a bad day or a good day. So, what kind of day are you guys having? Let me know in the comments how your day's going. Because today, my conversation is with Deborah Mallow, and she's the author of 6 Steps to Fewer Days That Suck. And I think that's what we probably all want is fewer days that actually suck. And again, it's a choice, so I've been told. So some of the things that we're going to cover today in this conversation with Deborah is we're going to talk about the power of perspective. And what that is, it's a concept, I guess you could call it, of negative biases. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about. Then we're going to talk about daily decisions and self-responsibility. And that is a conversation that highlights what everyday decisions that we make and how it really shapes our minds and our days. So that kind of goes along with that. We have a choice of whether it's going to be a sucky day or not a sucky day. Then I ask this question about nutrition because I'm a junk food junkie. I love junk food, but sometimes it feels like, and I've been told that bad nutrition can equate to a bad mood. For me, it starts with that stomach ache and then I'm not feeling so good. And then it's just like, leave me the F alone. I don't get that bad. But anyhow, food, nutrition, I think that really does kind of have an effect on our mood and it kind of shapes our day, how we feel. So don't eat the junk food, at least not all the time. Then we're going to talk about self-care and community. We're going to also, at the end of this, we're going to talk about some practical tips and tools that's going to help you make that healthy choice to be happy. So I hope you enjoy this podcast because it kind of made me happy. And that's what we all want. Like I said, is we want to have fewer days that suck. So let's get right into it with Deborah Mallow. Oh, and before we do, there's one thing I love, and that is animals. So if you are a pet owner, please be responsible and have your pets spayed or neutered. 6 steps to fewer days that suck.
That's the name, and that's the game. That's the key to life. Less days that suck and more days of fun. We have to have fun.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, we have one life to live. We might as well make it the best. And fun just makes things more enjoyable.
So true. And it takes a while. It's all about perspective, right? Reframing our perspective, getting over that negativity bias, which has nothing to do with us. It's our brain dating back to caveman times that just the negative information has more of an effect on us than the positive. And that's what stays with us. And that's why it's nobody's fault. But knowing that and knowing the little bit of science, and we'll talk more about that, I know, as we go through our conversation, knowing the science, knowing the why behind why we do things helps us self-correct and make our lives better.
Yeah. Well, like you said, too, the negative really affects us more than anything else. I mean, we want the positive, but we're as positive as people say they are. We sure are negative. You know that?
It really is true. But once we start flipping the script on anything in our lives, just changing our thought patterns, because the great thing is science, again, our brains love patterns. So we can create negative patterns, we can create positive patterns. So my whole transformation and why I did this originally for me, and now I teach and coach people, is to get unstuck and to create positive patterns that stick. You have a choice. It's contagious. Negative or positive. You pick, we choose. It's a choice that we have. And some days are going to really suck. And that's the truth. Life is messy. But understanding that and taking the pause and understanding that there's good in life too. And we want to be the best we can. We should appreciate ourselves, appreciate those around us, get rid of the negative in our life, and just embrace the joy. Just try it. You know, you want to do it, you can do it.
Well, I always thought, well, when we were younger and we played those games of, boy, wouldn't it be great to have just the perfect life, everything? I always thought a perfect, everyday, perfect day would be boring. Of course, I want more positive days, but I think having the ups and downs in life, those little challenges at times, makes you a stronger person. And to me, I think it brings that much more joy into life when there's something positive, because there you have something to look forward to. But like I said, we need to flip that switch to be able to either learn that joy behavior. We have a choice between this or that, and there are going to be bad days. Before we're right into the thick of things, but I want to let everybody know that you're Deborah Mallow, and it's not Deborah, it's Deborah.
It is, but I answer to Deb, and I answer to a lot of things. Debs, my friends call me Debs. It's endearing. But Deborah, that was my given name, and I embrace it.
Yes. And you have a website, just DeborahMallow.com.
No, it's actually thedailydecisions.com.
Oh.
Decisions with an F. With an S. With an F. With an S. Thedailydecisions with an S.com. Yes, because it's see up there. It's all about the daily decisions we choose.
Your Deborah one pops in there too. It goes right to your website.
Oh, that's interesting. That makes sense. You know what, Chuck? I was smart. I linked them because I also own DeborahMallow.com. So yes, so that's actually, thank you for pointing that out. I actually forgot that. You're a genius.
So folks, you can get there by DeborahMallow.com or The Daily Decisions with an S at the end. Again, thedailydecisions.com. So
you choose.
You know what? Yeah, you make the choice. Really, before we even get started, again, can you tell us, what is this daily decisions thing about?
It's all about the choices, the decisions we make in a day. We can make our day better or worse. And think about it. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, if you want to worry, if you want to be fearful, if you want to be negative, well, that's what you put out to the world. We are who we think we are. So I choose now. I wasn't always that way. This comes from many years and lessons learned to be happier. I don't say happy every minute, but happier is I rather choose positive energy. I rather choose to worry less and enjoy more. I rather choose to be confident, because that's when people trust you. When they see a confident person, I'm not talking about somebody who's obnoxious. No, I'm talking about somebody who has belief in themselves. Think about who you trust. Would you trust somebody who's always doubting themselves or somebody who really believes in themselves? I go with the people who believe in themselves and want to help other people. And so I come from a place of wanting to help other people because I was stuck. I was exhausted. I was burnt out. I did it to myself, wanting to be a #1 sales rep. I achieved it. But I say at what cost? Maybe if I went back now with a different perspective, a different mindset, it would be different. But I'm really enjoying helping other people get unstuck and passing on my success principles to be able to enjoy more, worry less, and make life just a little bit easier.
And who doesn't want to have a little bit easier life to live, especially right now? But, I want to ask you a little bit about nutrition, and does that have an effect on how we feel in our mood? Because I think all of that could play into this happiness. We almost choose pretty much, do we want to be happy today or do we want to be grumpy today? I want to wake up, I want to have a good meal or whatever it might be, and that kickstarts my day and I feel happy. So do you think, does nutrition have anything to do with any of this stuff with your mood?
Boy, does it. And I'm not preaching to people. As I told you, you know, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm a student of life. I wanted to make my life better, so I read a lot. And I tell everybody, be a lifelong learner. Understand the why behind how you feel and what's going on. Yes, therapy's great. I'm for anything that works for you. Do what works for you. I found what works for me. And eating well, nutritional food, food with a lot of nutrition, healthy food, sleeping well, limiting alcohol. Look, I like to party and have a good time too. I never say don't do this or that. Everything in moderation. And my dad always said that. I always heard that growing up. And now as an adult, I truly understand it, because people go on these crazy diets and they stop themselves from eating things, and it actually has a negative effect. We should eat what we like in moderation. Having willpower, well, that's, I know it's difficult. I know. I lived the diet life, and I've come to the conclusion that I'd rather control and be in control of my thoughts, of what I eat and everything else, because it does affect my mood, and it does affect all of our moods. Think about it. Think about how you feel after you eat greasy food, you have sugary drinks, you crash and burn. It doesn't serve you well. But when you eat nutrition-rich food, it makes a difference in your life. It actually has been proven. A lot of this, you can read about it, is proven by science to fend off depression. The funny thing is, it's the first couple of bites that we savor anyhow that has the most taste. So think about it when you're eating. Just like anger, just like anything else, take a moment to pause and reflect and see what's happening to you before reacting, before even eating more. Because that we get when we eat a good meal and we're anticipating it, your word anticipation, that dopamine, proven by science, they did studies, they did PET scans, they see that you have a good meal, you start to eat it, our dopamine increases, that good neurotransmitter in our body that makes us the endorphins, that makes us feel better. But once we get full, that dopamine it decreases, and it's not as potent. The mood boost happens when we first start eating something delicious, something good for us. And of course, yes, we get a rush from having sugary drinks too. But think about what you're doing to your body, because that sugar rush, like everything else, we crash and burn. And then even coffee, they say that actually black coffee might serve us well, because it helps with dopamine. It has antioxidants. So think about drinking black coffee instead of all those sugary coffees that you get. Nothing against those companies that make them. You can get black coffee from them too. But think about what you're doing to your body, and hug yourself, love yourself enough to want to put good food into your body, because you know you're going to feel better. I mean, I was a pharmaceutical rep. I get about all kinds of things that we can put into our body, but so many times we can do this with good nutrition. Vitamins like the B's, vitamin D, selenium, zinc. Read about it. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but I read, I do, and I've experienced, and I want that for everyone, to get unstuck, to get out of their own way and value themselves enough to take care of themselves. To me, that's self-care.
Yeah. I think for me on this that we're talking about, like I said, I'm not a dietitian, doctor, or anything like that. We're talking about kind of like a common sense thing. Don't overindulge. Things in moderation for the most part should be okay, but know yourself and know your body. I was just thinking about the foods and I was going, oh, what about my cheesecake? But you know what? Maybe for me, one or two bites.
Yes.
That's good. I savor that moment. And like I said, with every meal, don't just start digging right into it. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Cut that piece of meat or whatever it might be, chicken or broccoli, and just bite it, savor it for a moment, enjoy it, and then maybe you won't scarf down as much of that food, and just make it the way it is. Just enjoy it.
And what's interesting is, and I've learned this a long time ago because I do this, it takes about 20 minutes to feel full. And so the food has to hit the stomach, it has to go through whatever it has to go through. So what you're saying is, do it slowly. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the conversation with people you love. I mean, it's so nice to savor a meal with somebody else, a friend, somebody, your partner, whoever, your family, whoever it might be, and have conversation and all that. Think about that, because that makes the experience so much more fulfilling. And then when 20 minutes go by, you've eaten. I'm not just saying eat 2 bites. We need more than 2 bites to give us energy. But it's being conscious of those first 2 bites are the most delicious. And it's been proven. And then knowing that it takes 20 minutes till you will feel full. So scarfing it down, as you mentioned, isn't necessarily the best way to accomplish what we need to accomplish to feel full and not overeat. To eat just enough to sustain us. Drink a lot of water. It's so important to stay hydrated. I know you can get a headache if you don't drink enough. So think about what you're doing. Read, be a lifelong learner, and read about things that are going to help you and work towards those goals. Little steps. Don't overwhelm yourself. Little changes over time make big successes. It really changes you. And once you start to feel that good, you feel so much better. You're better for the people around you. It's not selfish thinking of yourself, taking care of yourself. You're actually doing a service for the people around you. If you're grouchy, honestly, do people want to be around grouchy people? I'd rather be around positive people. So think about all those things, and that will make the change. It's really simple, like you said, Chuck, common sense. But all of us seem to have to do, like the New Year's resolutions. Why don't they work? Because you do them for a short time and you don't follow through. The same with diets. People say they go on these roller coaster diets. It's what Chuck said. It's common sense. Living with common sense and finding ways to enjoy and things that work for you. What works for you won't work for me or for Chuck. But finding that and then paying attention, being alert, taking care of yourself. Oh my gosh, we have to always give ourselves a hug and smile, because that makes us so happy.
That's the one thing that is so true, is that we need to learn to take care of ourselves first before we can actually help others. Because if I don't take care of myself and I'm in that down mood, it radiates out. Yes. And like you said, people either read it or feel it, and they may not want to be around you. And then we read into it more and saying, why is it they don't want to be around me? Why is this? How come I'm at? Why aren't they listening to me? And there's that negativity that's being pushed down. And we're the ones ourselves that are pushing that negativity into us.
It's really true. And everybody listening, honestly, think about it. Think about who you want to be around. What makes you happy? Think about doing things that boost your endorphins. It has to do with food. It has to do with exercise. Even walking is known to reduce sensitivity to stress and pain and boost our endorphins. And I mentioned smiling. You can't help but boost your endorphins when you smile. That little action. To me, I call it gifting happiness, but it's been proven by science to boost our endorphins, as does laughing. Get with a supportive community. Don't think you're mean if you limit the contact with the negative people in your life. Sometimes we can't totally say bye-bye, but if you can, it's really conserving your energy and making your life that much happier. And think about it. If you're happier, you're better for those people that are around you. Think of it as doing a good deed. Don't think of
Yeah.
it as being negative. It's a positive thing.
And it does take a lot of energy. I know a lot of people have friends who are more negative and down than they are on the positive side. But nonetheless, they're your friends. But sometimes it could be really a challenge or an energy drain to be around that type of a person. So we're not saying cut them out of your life. You know, it might be best to have them in little bites, so to speak, kind of like what we're talking about nutrition and food, because there's still benefits of having people and friends around. That's what I believe.
No, I agree with you too. But there's some people that are so toxic that, it really depends. And that's why I say nobody can make a decision for us. We have to weigh the benefits and risks of that. That's what I had to do in pharmaceuticals. It's all a benefit risk. And I think life is that way also. What are the benefits? What are the risks? If somebody's taking you on a slippery slope and you can see your intuition tells you that that's not the road to go on for yourself, really seriously consider listening, because you could save yourself a lot of angst. So I believe, yes, keep people around that benefit you, that you enjoy, that you can help them, because I think it's all reciprocal. I believe in kindness and helping other people. There for the grace of God go I. But again, because people keep people around, partners, whatever it is, that are abusive. And in that respect, I think we have to value ourselves enough to be able to cut ties if we have to, because
Yeah.
so it's all by degrees, right? And I can't tell people what to do. It has to come from them. When I coach people, it's all about, I listen and ask questions, because the decision really has to be a personal decision. No one can make a decision for you. You owe it to yourself to make the decision what works best for you. And I think we all have that sixth sense that we know what works for us best.
I think sometimes that may be called your gut feeling. And if your gut feeling says, in this situation that we're talking about around toxic people or toxic environments, if your gut says, this is not good for me, I need to get out, get out. If your gut says, you know what, there's still a little bit of benefit here, but don't hang out as much as you have been. Just take what you need and get out.
Yeah. And it's so interesting about intuition, because it's the same thing about patterns and making positive patterns that stick, because our brains like patterns. Intuition is our brain seeks patterns, and it's just all those patterns developed over time, that sort of the data that's been collected. Our bodies, our brains are so smart and developed that they warn us based on past patterns, past experiences, when things might not be actually the best fit for us. Think about it. I can put it really simply. You have a cup on a counter, and it's a little too close to the edge, and you've knocked that cup over a few times in the past, right? So now you know what? I'm going to push that cup back. That's our intuition telling us. The same with people. We have experience with people Have they hurt us in the past? Have they done this? Have they done that? Right? So our intuition kicks in, and is it always right? Not necessarily, but we need to lean into it and really assess before we make that decision. That's like I say in anything. Reflect, pause before reacting. That's with anger, that's with negative thoughts, that's with anything in our lives. The best thing we can do is step back and reflect before we react. It saves so much turmoil and problems going forward if we don't react instantly. Think about that. And if you get nothing out of this discussion, think about that. It's even putting food in your mouth, whatever it is. Think first before reacting.
I want to add along with this that making a mistake, it isn't a bad thing in many instances. So don't beat yourself up about it, because if you make a choice, you made the choice. You made the choice that you thought was going to be the best outcome at that particular moment. But if it doesn't turn out the way that you thought it would, don't beat yourself up. Just go, oh, well, I learned. Next time, maybe I'll do something different. It's a learning experience. That goes, I think, for most things in life, unless it's an absolute bad thing that was bad for somebody else. So I think that's more, it's your decision, your choice that you're making for yourself and your environment. That is for you, not for others. So I just want to throw that out there.
And
we're talking about
that's very true, because I say that in my book. I mean, we all need to learn and grow, right? How are you going to experience things if you don't make mistakes? Actually, I think mistakes are a gift. So I don't use the word failure. I don't know if you got a chance to skim my book at all, but I call it education and growth. Not failure, but education and growth. Because how else? You can't bat 1,000 the first time out of the gate doing anything. So we need to have trial and error to figure out what works. And sometimes those mistakes, the learning and growing, become happy accidents. Think about how many times you did something. That wasn't in the plan, but it really worked out. And that's all about minimizing your fear. Taking a risk. I'm not talking about taking stupid risks. I would never suggest that. You have to use your common sense and be careful about what you do. Think about it. Think before reacting. I said that before. But also, fear can cripple us. And just knowing that, what Chuck said, if you make a mistake, you learn and grow, you move forward with that much more knowledge. How great is that? See, it's all about flipping the script. You can see it negatively, you can see it positively. I encourage everybody to take the positive spin on things. Glass half full, not half empty, and be happy to have a glass.
Are all these things that we're talking about in your book, 6 Steps to Fewer Days That Suck?
Yes, say that again. I'm so sorry.
Is everything that we're talking about right now in your book, 6 Steps to Fewer Days That Suck?
A lot of it. I mean, I don't go into the hardcore nutrition, because what I do is I keep everything. I'm just trying to spark the visuals, spark the ideas, use sound bites like revision is a decision, different things, so that before you go down a rabbit hole, you use that. Also to give you ideas about the science so you could research more yourself. Because my book, as you know, Chuck, it's not a chapter book. It's meant more for instant gratification, to give you some ideas why we do things, because I wrote it originally for myself, not to be consumed by the public, as my guidebook when I was making my transformation to be a happier person, enjoy more, worry less, and I really do. This is not an act. This is not fake. This is me every day, how I wake up. Even in difficult times, I try to find a silver lining. But so the book is double pages with a commitment, a quote, questions, action items, all on a double page. Walk away from negativity. Happiness is a choice. They're all titled, and they give you a commitment, the questions, the solutions, the action items, a mantra, a little story about somebody, like in a couple of lines, who overcame whatever the topic is, and then tips. And then at the end of each step, if you get the paperback or the hardcover, it isn't in the Kindle version, but in the paperback or hardcover, you have a line page after the summary of the step and the 10 little tips taken from the eight double pages that format each step. And then you can write your aha moments. I try to make it simple because people in our fast-paced society, so they scroll, they do things quickly. You can read this on the toilet in the morning for a minute, a double page. And it's those little words, those little visuals that I know for me and the people I coach really help make that small change. And then you build on that. And that's what I try to share out to the world and why I put it out there, to help people get unstuck.
Do you think it takes time to get unstuck, or can some people get unstuck, I'll say, in an instant?
What I find interesting, that's why I say small steps, because it really depends what we're focusing on at the moment. I'm not talking about big problems. You know, life is messy. Some people, we have bigger problems, but I'm talking about little things that we do to ourselves to get out of our own way, to stop our negative thoughts from ruining our day. Little things to trigger being able to do that. Foods that might boost our mood, activities that might boost our mood, things to think about, people who get us down. It's those kind of quick things that I honestly think, if it hits you at the right time, and that's why I encourage people, because it's double pages, you can read and make notes on the double pages that mean something to you, and will improve your life, because that is the whole thing, to just have a happier life. Not perfect, there's no such thing, but just a happier life. So that's how I do think, if you understand why, you can flip the script more quickly. I really do believe that. I saw that with myself. But I will say, it's challenging. It isn't easy, because we have to make the decision and then the commitment to ourselves to actually do it. And once you do it, you start to feel better.
And as you say, flip the switch, it doesn't mean that you flip the switch today and it's always on. Like I said, life is a challenge. It may be every day that you're going to have to turn that switch on to the happy again. So don't, again, going back to what we said early on, is don't beat yourself up about things like that. You know, it doesn't mean that, oh, I flipped that switch. Oh, I'm happy today. And you wake up tomorrow and you're going, how come I don't feel the same? Well, it's a different day. You know, maybe you have to turn that switch on again. Find something that makes you happy. There are certain things I think that actually help with that, the happiness with the chemicals in your brain, which means sleep and exercise. Exercise does not mean you need to go out there and pump iron, lift weights. You mentioned you could just do a simple walk, 10-minute walk. There's so many things, you know, after you eat a healthy meal, go out within 10 minutes and take a 10-minute walk. You know, that is all good for your body. And then if your body is good, mentally you'll be good. And if you're mentally good, you should be in a happy place.
It's really, really true that we are responsible for our thoughts, our actions, our emotions. I'm not saying that it's easy. I would never sugarcoat anything. I've struggled as well, but I understand enough, and I've actually done it for myself and worked with people as well, to see that it is a choice, and it's how we react to whatever it is. We can make ourselves more stressed. And I'm not saying that stress isn't part of life, but we can make ourselves more stressed or less. And what's so interesting is when we wake up in the morning, that's why I have a morning routine. When we wake up in the morning, nothing to do with us. It's like the caveman brain and the negativity bias. There's a cortisol spike. And that cortisol spike actually brings on the negative thoughts. So what I do when I get up is I smile and I say I have positive affirmations. Affirmations don't work if you're not going to actually put the effort into them. You could say the words, but that's lip service. But honestly, like today I said, I'm so excited. I really did. I'm going to be on Chuck's show and I'm going to bring the positive energy and do my best to help people get unstuck. And that starts the day on a positive note. We all owe it to ourselves to understand that cortisol spike and work to stop the negativity, all those negative thoughts, more negative thoughts than positive thoughts. But if we understand it, we can flip the script or flip the switch, however you want to say it, and change that. Little steps, again, I'm going to say it, over time, add up to big results. Just try it.
I absolutely agree. And, sometimes it's difficult for us to manifest these things, the happiness. And if that's you, again, I'm not a doctor, psychiatrist, counselor, or anything like that, but if that is the type of person you are, I would say for the people who are old enough, remember the day with the calendars with the joke on it every single day. I mean, find something, whether it be your digital device or maybe it's your phone that tells you a joke when you wake up every morning. Try to do something that starts your day off with a happy note or something funny. And like you said, Deborah, believe in it. Don't do it as lip service and don't do it as just an automatic, I'm just going to turn it on. Listen to the joke or whatever it might be. Listen to something.
Listen, and there's so many activities you can do. One of my favorites, and I just snap a picture and I have it with me every day, is I say put together a gratitude collage. All that is, it's so fast. It's so easy. You can frame it. You can put it on your fridge. You can snap a picture to put on your phone so you can look at it. Because again, when we remember happy times in our lives, people we love, what Chuck said very early in our chat about the anticipation, a bucket list item, plan a trip that you're not going to even take. Where would you like to go? And then also, so you collage that. You can cut out from magazines or greeting cards happy words, hearts, smiley faces, emojis, whatever floats your boat. Put them together and you look at it and it stops that negativity bias. It makes you go back into time to remember those happy times that maybe you had a birthday celebration with your mom like I had here. It's just simple things like that. Or even a make me smile jar that you just write things that make you smile, quotes, whatever it is. You could decorate the jar, you don't have to. And when you're feeling a little low, read them. It distracts your mind and you go to a happier place. As Chuck said, walking, exercising, whatever it is that's going to stimulate the endorphins to make you feel better. Because honestly, you deserve to enjoy this life. What's the point of being miserable?
Why? I like your ideas there in the smile jar, because I was just kind of thinking about, we used to have the candy jar and it'd make us happy. We'd get a piece of candy. Well, now you've got your little happy quotes. You reach in there and you got a happy quote or a happy saying or happy word. I also have to throw in, every time you say the word anticipation, again, depends on your age, you're going to get it. Remember the Heinz ketchup? Anticipation? Yes! With the ketchup coming out. It was anticipation because you're so excited and happy for it to come out. Today's society is, when that ketchup doesn't come out, just like anything else, I'm just using this as a metaphor, we get anxious and upset and we start smacking, trying to hurry and get out, rather than that anticipation of that joy of watching it come out and hits your burger and you're like, now I can't wait to bite into it. So again, slow down, enjoy the moment. So happiness is not necessarily the end result. It could be that journey there, that ketchup coming out of the bottle real slow, that anticipated bite. And again, we're saying everything about savor it, enjoy it, and it'll make things better. I do believe that it will really make things better if you do that.
Absolutely 100%. That's all about perspective, how we reframe our perspective. And doing things like Chuck just said, it just makes your life easier. So why wouldn't you want to make your life easier? Why complicate it? Why get frustrated? How does that serve you? Actually, it just makes us more depressed. I mean, eating drinking sugary drinks, doing certain things. I mean, I don't say don't do things, do it in moderation, sure, but really be conscious of what we're putting into our body, what we're putting into our minds, how we're reacting, and find ways. And we gave a lot of suggestions today. Find ways to make your life happier. Not perfect, but happier, because at the end, I've read so many stories about people on their deathbed, and they say, why did I complicate things so much? So don't do that to yourself. Find ways to smile and laugh and be with people that do the same thing. I encourage a positive community. It makes such a difference in life. My whole Instagram page, and the people that I follow and follow me, they're all positive people. There's no negativity allowed, because we have a choice. Again, you want to let the negative in, you want to let the positive in. Well, my choice now, at this point in my life, and for everybody that surrounds me, I want positivity and positive energy, and I want to lift people up. I don't want to drag them down. Lift yourself up.
Yes. And like you said just now, surround yourself with positivity. Deborah, can you remind everybody where folks can go so they can pick up your book, 6 Steps to Fewer Days That Suck?
Yes, I'm so excited because it just went live on Amazon, and you can get paperback or hardcover. And I have the Kindle, but I'm going to upload the newest Kindle. But the paperback and the hardcover, I think people will really like it because they can take away their aha moments. You can personalize it to you. And I do urge you, if you like, and I say that in the book, let me know how this is for you. My website, and you can connect with me there. There's many buttons to click, and I'll get an email, is thedailydecisions with an S.com. And if you go to, and also, as Chuck has found out, DeborahMallow.com. But the Daily Decisions with an S.com /inspire. You can join my Positive Energy Club, which gives you my newsletters to spark positive energy. It's not on and on and on. It's just simple things we can do to just make ourselves feel better. And you can download worksheets, happiness, motivation, and feel-good activities that actually work as companions to 6 Steps to Fewer Days That Suck, but they work as standalone also. So I just welcome helping people just enjoy their lives more. And that makes me feel so joyful. It really does. This is not put on. It really is, because it breaks my heart when I see people struggling. It really, really does. And I live in the middle of Manhattan, so I see people struggling. But I really love helping people.
Deborah Mallow, I want to say thank you very much. This has been a great start to a day. And you know what? Again, everybody, go check out Deborah's website. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. You're going to find happiness. You're going to find joy, because as Deborah says, she surrounds herself with all that positive energy. And we all need some of that every day. I'll say, hey, I'm positive, but I still need that positive recharge of energy. So thank you very much.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Chuck, for having me on to chat with you, and hopefully the listeners are inspired and everybody can give themselves a hug right now, because really, truly appreciate yourself. You have a lot to offer the world. We are who we think we are.
Everyone out there, have a wonderful day.